Today we got two of the best fighters and best street level heroes in the Marvel Universe going head to head. Daredevil versus Moon Knight. Who wins? Well, let's find out. As a child, Matt Murdock was blinded by radioactive waste while trying to save an elderly stranger about to get hit by a truck carrying the dangerous material. In turn, his other senses were heightened to superhuman sharpness, and he gained a form of radar sense. By day, he's a successful trial lawyer, but by night, he guards Hell's Kitchen as the man without fear known as Daredevil. Now, Daredevil is in peak physical condition and is surprisingly strong and durable. He's been seen easily swinging around and using a 400-pound barbell as a weapon and can crack concrete walls with the sheer power of his punches or throwing his baton. Matt's whole thing is that he knows how to take a punch, and he's been able to take several punches from the Hulk, survive a multi-story fall from a building, and withstand being caught on fire and napalm and nitroglycerin explosions. His greatest asset, though, is his speed and agility. He's been able to consistently dodge bullets and machine gun fire, even after the bullets have already been fired and at point-blank range. Daredevil is even great enough to swat away bullets with his baton. He's also arguably the greatest acrobat in the Marvel Universe. Thanks to the accident, Matt's other senses were heightened to extremely superhuman degrees. He's able to hear everything on a 5-mile radius if he concentrates, can read simply by touching the ink on the page, and has such a great sense of smell that they can actually smell blood pressure rising. Even his radar sense is a form of echolocation that allows him to see what's around him and also gives him a 360-degree view of his surroundings. Daredevil is one of the greatest fighters in Marvel Comics, and is skilled at nerve strikes and martial arts like ninjutsu, jujutsu, judo, kung fu, aikido, and boxing. This blend of fighting styles perfectly blends his incredible strength and gymnastics ability. Then Matt also has the Billy Club, which is able to throw hard enough to crack concrete, and is skilled enough to ricochet off of basically anything. Finally, Daredevil is an excellent strategist, and is smart enough to graduate valedictorian from law school at Columbia. Then in the corner of Moon Knight. Moon Knight, Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, and Jake Lockley. 4 different aspects of the same man who was resurrected by Khonshu, the Egyptian lunar god of vengeance and justice, to serve as his avatar. Those unjust mortals who prey upon the innocents who travel at night, beware the vengeance of the Moon Knight. Moon Knight is physically strong as to snap steel beams over his knee, physically destroy a car, and is fast enough to dodge, deflect, or even cut bullets in half. Due to his multiple personalities, Mark possesses an extraordinary degree of pain tolerance, and has casually ignored massive wounds and injuries in order to just keep on fighting. Like Moon Knight has been shot by bullets, stabbed by knives or swords, and even been shot in the chest with a crossbow, and he just kept on fighting through all of it. He's also a highly skilled fighter, who's adept in both armed and unarmed combat. He's a former heavyweight boxing champion, and has a comprehensive knowledge of the weak points in the human body. His fighting style is brutal and straight to the point, combining Krav Maga, Savate, Judo, Kung Fu, and Filipino martial arts to put down his opponents as quickly and painfully as possible. Taskmaster claims that there's no one fighting style he hates to copy more than Moon Knight. That's because, unlike other fighters, Mark prefers not to block or evade an attack if it gives him the opportunity to counterattack his opponent. He will even court his opponent into attack and trust his stamina and ability to take a punishment. He's highly adept in all forms of weaponry, including shurikens, combat knives and swords, batons, truncheons, bow staffs, nunchucks, chains, and bolos. His go-to weapons are crescent darts, which he can hurl with impressive force and accuracy, and are very similar to Batman's batarangs. Moon Knight would usually wear a costume made of a bulletproof Kevlar, but he's recently put on outfits lined with adamantium or carbonadium. So who wins? Well, let's break it down. Now, I absolutely love this fight right here. Not just because these are two underrated heroes in the Marvel Universe, but they're both incredibly skilled fighters, and actually match up nicely against each other in both skill and physicality. I really do enjoy this fight. I do think it's important to mention, though, that before we begin this fight, Moon Knight no longer has his superhuman powers that appear under moonlight. He hasn't had those since like the 90s. Mark Spector is just a normal human, just like Matt Murdock. Now let's start by taking a look at which of these two heroes is stronger. Moon Knight has done some impressive things throughout the years, like kicking a steel door off of its hinges, absolutely destroying a car by landing on the hood, and when he fought against Shadowland Daredevil, he actually managed to knock him through a wall. But those are all things that Daredevil has done before too. I mean, Matt is surprisingly strong. He's easily cracked concrete with his punches and by throwing his baton. He's also been able to flip over a limousine, swing around a 400-pound barbell over his head like a weapon, and kick Kingpin hard enough to where he dents a metal door. But see, the thing is, just like Daredevil will be able to do pretty much everything Moon Knight has done, I'm pretty sure that Mark can do everything that Matt has done. I'd say they're equal in terms of strength. Now, durability is a really interesting one, because both of these heroes are surprisingly durable, especially for just being humans. Matt has survived nitroglycerin and napalm explosions, car crashes, being burnt alive, falls from tall buildings, blasts from Electro, and even punches from the Hulk. Daredevil's also got basically superhuman levels of stamina and endurance, as he's trained for a week straight without sleep before, and one time fought crime for 6 weeks straight, only stopping to quickly eat and sleep. However, talking about just durability, gotta give the edge to Moon Knight. You see, not only is he just as durable as someone like Daredevil, but he's actually able to ignore pain because he's so mentally insane. He's ignored gunshots, knife stabs, and slashes, and continued to fight after being tased, shot in the chest with a crossbow, and even having part of his face bitten off. In fact, Mark actually seems to relish somewhat in pain, as if he sees it as some form of punishment that he deserves. He's also got a much better suit than Matt, with his Kevlar body armor that's even sometimes lined with adamantium or carbonadium. Now it might seem like just as Moon Knight took the edge in durability, Daredevil will take the edge in speed and agility. But it's not necessarily as clearly cut and dry as that. You see, Moon Knight is surprisingly quick as well. Not only has he dodged bullets, but he's actually moved so fast that he's cut bullets in half with his crescent darts. He's also dodged venom, and even evaded attacks from Shadowland Daredevil. So Moon Knight definitely can't be underestimated, but I do believe that Daredevil is faster and more agile. He's made bullet dodging look like the easiest thing in the world. And the guy's got to be at least part cat or part spider, part monkey, or part something. He's easily one of the most agile characters in all of Marvel. And even though Mark is impressive in his own right, he can't hang long term with Matt. There's also Daredevil's radar sense to take into account, as it always gives him a 360-degree view of his surroundings, and that will allow him to see and dodge more attacks than Moon Knight. So physically speaking, these two are pretty even, with both heroes having their advantages. So I guess the next question we need to answer is which of these two is the better fighter? Well, there's really no question that Moon Knight is the more brutal fighter. I mean, this guy's absolutely ruthless, and actually goes out of his way to take down his enemies in as a painful a way as possible. But it's not that he's just a ruthless fighter, he's also really quite skilled too, having ruthlessly beaten swordsmen on a couple of occasions, and even taking down Deadpool twice, despite his healing factor. However, I've actually got to give the edge here to Daredevil, as Matt has just consistently shown a greater level of skill and the ability to take on more skilled opponents. Daredevil's been able to fight against Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Wolverine throughout the years, but has also laid a beating down on Bullseye and Elektra, and even famously took down 107 armed Yakuza men all by himself. So while Daredevil is the better hand-to-hand fighter, this isn't just going to be a hand-to-hand fight. We've also got to consider the gear and weapons that each of them are bringing to the fight. And this is an area where Moon Knight definitely takes the advantage. Yes, Daredevil has baton, and he's quite skilled with it, as he's able to ricochet off of basically anything, and can even throw it hard enough to crack concrete. But that just can't compare with all the gear that Mark is bringing to the table. He's got his crescent darts, grappling hooks, truncheons, bow staffs, knives, and swords, and even occasionally guns. Of course, all that is something that Matt has faced before, so it won't really present a unique challenge, except for Mark's incredible skill at using them. However, there is one thing in Moon Knight's arsenal that I really want to focus on. He'll occasionally use flashbangs and hypersonics, and these things could present a real problem for Daredevil, especially for his superhuman senses. Not really sure how much a flashbang will do, since the guy is obviously blind, but Matt has been severely hurt by sonic attacks, and it throws off his radar sense. However, that alone doesn't necessarily take him out of the fight. You see, even though hearing is a large part of how he figuratively sees, it's not the only thing. He can smell where you are, even being able to smell blood pressure rising, and can also feel where someone is in the room because of air pressure. So while it'll hurt Daredevil, it doesn't completely incapacitate him like others might believe. And it really just motivates Matt to take his opponent down as quickly and as hard as possible. And that brings us to our last point, because these heroes fight very differently. Moon Knight is an aggressive fighter, even being willing to take an attack and bank on his durability, if it'll allow him to exploit an opening. Usually that works out pretty well for him, but usually he's going up against people who just use typical strikes or kicks or things like that. And Daredevil isn't one of those fighters. Yes, of course he uses typical hand-to-hand attacks, but Matt is also maybe the world's leading expert on nerve strikes, and he uses them all the time in a fight. And Moon Knight can't afford to take too many of these. Matt knows nerve strikes that can blind people, make them feel like they're being burned alive, can instantly knock someone out, and even kill them. With Mark constantly leaving himself open to attack in order to launch a counterattack, Daredevil will quickly realize the best course of action is to use his nerve strikes. Don't get me wrong, Moon Knight will definitely claim some victories, as he's a vicious fighter, and has a lethal and versatile arsenal that he definitely knows how to use. But I think Daredevil just got him slightly outmatched here in terms of fighting skill. His radar sense and agility will negate a lot of Mark's weapons, and when we look at these two heroes' nearly equal physical stats, we gotta take Daredevil's nerve strikes into consideration. Daredevil wins. But what do y'all think? I would love to hear your thoughts, so sign off in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe button, more videos just this one every single day, and I'll see you next time.